I am often asked, what is the best thing I can do to help my kids become healthy eaters? And the problem with this question is that our dietary behaviors, our eating habits, are determined by a number of different factors, both internal and external, which means that there is not a one-size-fits-all approach to becoming a healthy eater. There is not one thing I can tell you to do that will work for you the same way it works for me. But there are several things that have been shown to work for most people, and I want to talk about those today. I'm Kiyah Duffey, nutrition expert, entrepreneur, and mom of 3. I help busy moms and dads transform their relationship with food. So today, I want to talk to you about what you can do at home to help your kids become healthy eaters. Why am I focusing on at home? For a couple of reasons. First, because this is the place where you have the most influence. You may have some sway over what happens in your kids' daycare or at a family member's house, but in your own home, you have the most ability to influence what happens. And the second thing is that when your kids are developing habits, the time that is most critical, the window that is most critical for developing these habits, is when they are quite young and spending most of their time at home. So this is a really key area for us to focus on, and actually it's where there's been a lot of research done that gives us some clues as to what we can do. So with that said, let's dive in. Here are 5 things consistently demonstrated in the nutrition literature that parents can do to help their kids have healthy eating habits. Number 1, make foods accessible and available. These may sound like the same thing, but they are slightly different. Making foods available means they are in the house. You have them around and you choose to bring them into your home. Making them accessible means that kids can get at them without needing their parents' help. A systematic review of home availability and accessibility of fruits and vegetables found that both of these, accessibility and availability, were associated with fruit and vegetable consumption among both children and adults. And what's more, there was lower consumption of energy-dense, nutrient-poor foods, things like sugar-sweetened beverages or processed and packaged cookies and crackers. That this was also found there was less consumption of these when they were not as available or accessible at home. So does this mean that you can never bring home Oreos again? Of course not. But knowing that what you bring into your house and how easy it is to get them, to access those foods, has an influence over what you and your kids are eating is important. So having a pantry stocked with Oreos while those carrots and cucumbers are hidden away in the drawers in the refrigerator behind some potentially, rotting something else, it's going to make it very hard to encourage your kids to make the choice for carrots rather than Oreos. So think about what you bring into your home and how easy it is for your kids to get those foods. Number 2, you can repeatedly expose your kids to new foods. Repeated exposure to foods that kids have never seen before or that they are still learning to like is a critical opportunity for them to ultimately accept those foods and be willing to eat them without you needing to encourage that. Many parents give up on their foods after serving them once or twice and their kids seem to not like it. But this can inadvertently contribute to your kids' disinterest in eating them, unwillingness to try them, and potentially in their picky eating. But this hesitancy to try new foods is developmentally expected. In a study following 120 kids over 9 years, nearly a quarter of them at some point in that 9-year time span were considered by their parents as picky eaters or having some kind of eating problem, an unwillingness to try new foods or having a limited number of foods in their diet. And what's more, most of this picky eating showed up in those kids before 3 years of age and was resolved by 6 years of age. The rates of picky eating in kids older than 6 was very small. So, one of the keys to moving your kids through these phases is continued repeated exposure. Remembering that this is typical and expected in childhood can help you stay. It can help you stay calm when you start to experience this with your kids, and to remember that your job is to keep offering these new foods. But how you offer is equally important to the fact that you offer at all, which brings me to number 3. Use supportive food parenting practices. What does that mean? Food parenting practices encompass the behaviors that are used by parents to influence their kids' behaviors, attitudes, and beliefs towards food. So, research demonstrates that supportive practices, which encourage autonomy and are non-directive, and this can include things like encouraging balance and variety, refraining from commenting on your kids' eating habits, that these have been associated with healthier long-term habits in kids. On the other hand, coercive feeding practices, things that include pressuring your child to eat a food, restricting or having forbidden foods around, or using food as rewards or bribes, these have been linked to poor eating habits, to overconsumption, and to emotional eating. So an example from the literature, a longitudinal study of 173 9-year-olds found that tightly restricting a child's food intake resulted in an increased desire for energy-dense, nutrient-poor foods, and was associated with kids eating in the absence of hunger. So use supportive parenting practices, offering without requiring, don't use foods as bribes, and talk to your kids about why you are offering a variety of foods for them to eat. Okay, number 4, model the behavior you want your kids to have. If you want your kids to eat fruits and vegetables, they have to see you do this. If you want your kids to drink enough water, to be willing to try new foods, to love to bake, to eat a balanced diet, they have to see you doing the same thing. Various cross-sectional studies have shown a positive association and correlation between parents' food intake and their child's food intake. One study that I found put it most succinctly: obligating a child to accept a healthy food through giving advice only, without the parents eating it themselves, is a dead end. Now, because these studies are cross-sectional in nature, we can't at all make statements about causality. But in the literature, there is consistently an association between what you eat and what your kids do. So model the kinds of behaviors you want them to have. Practice doing that with them. All right, my last point, number 5, have family meals. Systematic reviews that focus on family meals have demonstrated that family mealtime is consistently inversely associated with all kinds of health outcomes. In a meta-analysis of more than 180,000 kids, children and adolescents who share family meals 3 or more times per week are more likely to be in the normal weight range, to have healthier dietary patterns, and compared to those who have 3 or fewer family meals together. But it's not just their diets that are better, or their eating habits that show improvement with family meals. Eating family meals is associated with lower rates of alcohol and tobacco use, with depression, with violence or violent behaviors, and disordered eating. And it's positively associated with things like self-esteem and self-efficacy. Now, is there something magical about family dinner? No. Do you need to rearrange your entire life so that the family can be home every night at 6 p.m. having a traditional meal? No, of course not. But these data do suggest that there is something powerful and particularly important about having that time together. So finding a way to mimic what a family dinner provides, be it at breakfast or some other time in the day, when you have dedicated time between an adult and your child to have open lines of communication, to talk about things that happen during the day, to process with your kids, it will be immensely beneficial to them both in terms of what they are eating and in terms of how they are growing. All right, if any of this is helpful, I would love to hear from you. Thanks.